Welcome back to the Malloy Twins podcast. And before we get into today's episode, we'd just like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Website for Trades.
Websites for Trades is a business that's set up by Clondalkin local Luke Corrigan and aims to provide affordable but profitable services focused on websites, logos, marketing, social media and videography. It's for tradespeople around Ireland looking to get ahead online. And if you'd like to find out more about the business, you can find them through www.websitesfortrades.ie or on Instagram.
And if you're not a tradesperson, but you would still like to avail of these services, then Luke still has you covered, because he also runs serodigital.io, which is a more general agency that can help you with all of the above. You can find them out at www.serodigital.io or on Instagram. Everything will be linked in the description. Welcome back to the Malloy Twins podcast, and today we're delighted to be joined by a veteran of martial arts in Ireland. From kickboxing at a young age to becoming one of the most recognisable names and faces in mixed martial arts in Ireland. He's fought on some of the biggest stages under the biggest promotions in the world. He recently made his UFC debut in September in Australia, and he's currently gearing up to step into the octagon for the second time in Manchester on July 27th at UFC 304. He's a father, he's a fighter, he's a future UFC welterweight world champion. It's BDK Kiefer Crosbie.
Thanks very much, boys. That was some intro, fair play.
So it took a lot of work.
Give me a big head here. Yeah.
We need to do a fight camp just to get that intro out in one. But
12-week camp just for that.
But yeah, before we get into it, Kiefer, I just want to say from all of us, thank you. Like, I know in a regular day-to-day life, finding the time and the energy to do a podcast is exhausting. During fight camp with everything else going on, even more so. So genuinely, it means a lot.
Fair play to these boys. Obviously, I've seen your podcast for a while and I've said it, come on. So it'd be nice to get it out of the way. I'm still 7 weeks out, so I have a lot of time before the fight. So it's nice to get this out of the way now. And then obviously the next few weeks I'll be kind of locked in. Thanks for having me.
No, good timing. Before we get into the meaty section of it, let's start off with some quick fires to get us warmed up. My first question, I asked it to Sean O'Bannon as first question, so I have to ask it to you too. It's like a UFC tradition. What's your favourite walkout song?
My favourite walkout song? Over the years I've been using like a mix. My friend Noel Regan makes me like a mixed song, so it would be like an Irish ballad into Big Daddy.
Nice.
Nicki Minaj. Yes. And then the last few times I've been using the Rocky Road to Dublin, just because it's nice to hear an Irish song as I'm walking out, you know what I mean? So it's kind of a mix between the two of them. And that boxing fight I used Aslan, Crazy World. That was a week after Christy had passed, so that was a kind of a nice, thing to do. Yeah, a nice tribute there. And I believe his daughter was at the fight, I think. So like that was nice to do. So Crazy World's always a good one, especially in Dublin. Everyone knows the songs, so they can sing it, you know what I mean? But Manchester probably use a little rebel song.
It has to be done, doesn't it? You'll have the whole crowd jumping on you, never mind your man.
Well, I'll have a bunch of Irish there as well, so we'll jump back,
Beautiful. For you, Kiefer, is there any fighters you look up to as idols, inspirations, role models?
As of now, not really. Like, I mean, when I was a kid, obviously Mike Tyson was probably my biggest, person I would have looked at. Like, whoa, I want to be like Mike Tyson. I remember being a kid, just looking at his fights, thinking it wasn't even real. Looking at him, do you know what I mean? I literally remember being a kid in the sitting room, my gaff, just looking at the fights, thinking this isn't real. How he's hitting these people and they're just getting knocked out. I thought this was fake or something, but. He was obviously my biggest inspiration before I really got into competing. But then obviously when you turn into a professional fighter yourself, I mean, I take inspiration from every fighter. I like different styles and different training methods and mindsets and stuff. I take a bit of inspiration from everyone, but I don't necessarily look up to one person. It's kind of just, I'm a martial artist and I take a bit of everything from everyone. Do you know what I mean? And it's a learning thing. Do you know what I mean? I just kind of learn something from everybody. So you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yep. My next question, it's a bit of a weird one, and from somebody who's never fought before, the people in your corner seems like a really important part of your team. I'm not sure if that is the case when you're in the middle of a fight, if you're even listening to them, but working off my assumption that it is like a really big deal. If you could have any fighter, past or present, in your corner for a fight, who would you take?
Fighter? That's a hard question. I don't know. Fighter wise, I mean, it's hard to tell, because it's one of these things that, like, in your corner and who you have around you, it's normally like they know you inside out. So you're comfortable with, like, whatever decision you make in the fight, they have an answer for it immediately. Like, for instance, say Lee Hammond is in my corner, right? He's obviously a good friend of mine, but he's one of my main training partners. So if I'm in a position on the ground and let's say I'm in side control top, he'll know what I like to do and what I don't like to do in that position. And he knows us so well that he's not going to shout out something stupid that
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to make a bad decision here. He's going to say, right, Kiefer, get your cross face and stay on top here, or, you know, or James Collar or Keane or something. They'll say something that, like, I'll do that they know suits my style. Which is if I was to just say, grab another fighter that doesn't know me so well. And that goes across the board, even with great coaches. Sometimes a great coach might say something that, you know, I'm not necessarily like good at that move or whatever, do you know what I mean? And they're shouting it in because they think that's the right thing to do, but that's not my style. So having your corner is more so a personal thing as opposed to, like, you know, having a fighter. Having said that, I mean, it'd be cool to have Mike Tyson or something. If I had a boxing fight, it'd be cool to have Mike in the corner. So put it that way. MMA is a little bit different, but I think it's more of it, like, you have to know you inside out. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, because it is like, it's like playing a video game. And you know when you play a video game with someone and they know what they're doing?
The fella who always fake shots and cuts inside.
That's what a good corner man's kind of like. They know you inside out, do you know what I'm saying? So, and they know your decisions, what you're thinking and what you're going to make. And they call it instantly. And it makes sense in the fight, you know what I'm saying?
Getcha.
If that makes sense, so.
What an answer. What an answer. Quality. Obviously, you're prepping for the fight now. I'd imagine you're locked in training wise, but also nutrition wise. When it gets to post fight and you're able to open up and eat whatever you want, what's your go-to meal?
Man, I'm a fat kid, Like, I eat everything, man. If I wasn't training, I'd be obese, like proper, like legit. You know what I mean? You wouldn't believe the grub I put away. But straight after a fight, it's always like I'd spend over 100 quid on like pizza. You know what I mean? I go stupid on the food. Like, do you know what I mean? I stack them up and just go to town on them, but I just eat everything for about a week or two. I just go at it, you know, blown up, and then I try to get disciplined again. Because you lose the run of yourself after fights. You know what I mean? From dieting so long, getting lean, and it can be very hard. And obviously, I cut a lot of weight, so like that part is so hard as well that you're just dreaming of food. Your senses are on over. You smell everything. I'm looking at my phone, I can smell food. Bleeding screen. You know what I mean? It's mad. So,
this is a weird question, but do you find yourself watching more like videos of food and stuff like that?
Yeah,
man.
Food porn is a real thing. Proper. Like you're just like strung out on the food. And your algorithm, like that's a real thing.
It's
the worst thing you can do, because once you watch or like one of the videos, everything you're seeing then is just desserts and pizza and ice cream. But it is what it is. It's the life I chose. So.
Unfortunately. We'll make sure Manchester hooks them up with a good feed now afterwards.
So.
Comes with the territory.
Absolutely.
Last quick fire from me. I know you may already. I think I already know the answer. I know how important it was for you to fight in the 3 Arena, given how close it was to home. And I think you said you watched Bjorn Dunn fight there, and that was like kind of the dream then from there. And you've done that a couple of times now.
8 times.
8 times. So the question is, where's your dream venue to fight in if the 3 Arena wasn't an option? Is there anywhere else in the world?
Like I fought in Vegas before as an amateur, and the IMAF tournament. I'd like to go back to Vegas and do like a T-Mobile event or you know, because Vegas is kind of the fight capital of the world. It's a, you know, historical place. Or in the MGM Grand, you know, because that's where all the big fights from even when I was growing up happened. You know what I mean? The Tyson fights and the Conor fights, and I'd like to go back to Vegas and do a proper T-Mobile event, or even now the Spheres and new. But even the Sphere, as cool as it looks, I'd still like to do an MGM or a T-Mobile.
It's iconic.
Or Madison Square Garden. That's another big one as well. I'd like because obviously there's a big Irish connection with New York as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, true.
The two of them would be pretty cool to fight in, I reckon. Yeah.
Nice. Beautiful. Last quick fire question then from me, Kiefer, and then we'll get into the good stuff. For you as a fighter, one of the most like difficult parts of, I suppose, the whole journey is, as you start out, you have a big vision that you're obviously working towards, and it's a team sport in some ways, but it's also an individual sport in many ways. And from listening to you on different podcasts, it was always like, I want to get to the UFC, I want to get in the octagon as a UFC fighter. For you now that you've kind of ticked that one off, what do you see as like the next goal or the next big thing you're working towards?
Just winning. You know, I think sometimes you know, as a fighter, as an athlete, you lose the run of yourself thinking of too many accomplishments, which is, you should just narrow it down to like, what's the next one little accomplishment? And then once you accomplish that, then the next accomplishment will look after itself. And you know, sometimes you get too caught up in having like 15 things in your head, and you're like, I want to do this and this, but you're forgetting about doing the first one. So for me right now, it's just make sure that every single day I'm getting 2 good high quality sessions in a day. I'm improving every single day, and then come fight night, I'm going to be in the best shape I can possibly get into, and then I get my hand raised by any means. And then once that happens, and I get that done, the next one will take care of itself. So I don't even want to think about my next fight or my next anything. I'm just thinking about tomorrow now, or tonight. I'm training at 6, so like that's my next, on my mind now. Is like, right, I'm doing 5k tonight, and a heart's on it. That's in my head. I've done 10 rounds this morning, and then my next, mind thing is like, right, 6 o'clock, 5k. I'm gonna try to get it in this time to the red zone, and then I'm gonna do my sauna. I'm gonna go to sleep at this time, wake up tomorrow and do that, and then day by day, that's how you get better. Really, do you know what I mean? And obviously, then by any means, just get my hand raised in the octagon, because obviously I lost my debut, so like, I haven't really ticked it off the list yet. Getting to the UFC was a goal. Winning the UFC was the real goal. So I have to get the hand raised. That's the only thing on my mind right now. Do you know what I mean? And the future will just take care of itself after that then. So
sick, man. Process
over
outcomes,
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever read the book called The Score Takes Care of Itself?
No,
it speaks to exactly what you've said. You might write the book, actually. You can write the second version.
I've read similar, but maybe I don't know what it is, but I've read similar. Like, there's actually a great book called Bounce. I don't know if you've read that. Yeah, it's a brilliant book. I've read this a couple of times. It's basically like the idea of talent versus hours of practice, right? So it's like it's basically debunks the whole talent situation, talks about like Tiger Woods, Serena Williams, Michael Jordan, these type of people. And when people label these people talented, it's kind of like a disrespectful term, because it's like they're not talented. They've been doing it since they're 3 years of age, and they have never stopped. And then when they get to like 19, 20, 21, and they're these big megastars and they're unbelievable at their sport, if you look at the amount of hours that they've spent perfecting that craft, you can't call them a talented person. They've refined every detail that you probably have never even thought of. They've shot like 1 million shots into that basketball hoop, or teed off 1 million times. That of course they're going to be one of the best in the world at it. So it's just hours accumulated of practice, it makes up for talent, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So it's just putting the graft in, and the outcome will take care of itself once you're putting the hours in. Do you know what I mean? Practice over everything, really.
Man.
Yeah, man.
Sick.
The 10,000 hour rule.
Yeah.
You heard about this, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Practice them for 10,000 hours. It's undoubtable. You're going to be good at it.
You're not going to be shy.
It's like anything. I'm sure your first ever podcast wasn't as sharp as your 50th podcast. You know what I'm saying? It's always, you always look back and think, messed up on that. And then you keep doing it. On the 50th one, you're going to go fucking way better now. You know, it's because you just kept it going. It's like anything, really. Just keep it going. Like,
as that mindset, have you always had that, or is it only in the last few years that's kind of developed?
Definitely didn't always have it now, growing up. Definitely when I got a lot older. And obviously it's like trial and error, everything, do you know what I mean? Like, having any type of career is all about, like, you're going to go up and down, and fuck up, and do good one day, do bad next. And it's just consistency, you know. No matter how bad of a day I have, go the next day and go again. No matter how good of a day I have, go the next day and go again. It's just keep it going, like. And then obviously with the sport I'm in, a loss can be detrimental. You know, I've seen so many fighters lose one fight and never show up in the gym again. They just can't take it. And because it kills you. The trick is get the fuck up, back to the gym Monday, fix your mistakes and go again. It's the only real key, do you know what I mean, to getting better. Like, I've lost loads of fights, but I just never once said, right, I'm done with this now. Like, I'll just go back to the gym, go again. You know, and that's eventually then you'll be good. You know what I mean? Or great at something. That's it, like, so.
Oh man, testament to that. I think it was in your documentary. I was watching it yesterday, the day before, and you were like, records are for DJs, not for fighters.
Well, that's it. Like, I mean, you can people live and die by their record. You know, and then don't get me wrong, I was 8-0 as a pro, and then I got disqualified in a fight. I needed to go in the head. He had his knee on the ground, and it was one of the easiest fights I've ever had. I literally mauled this bloke. I must have hit him 30 elbows. He couldn't touch me, and I accidentally kneed him in the head. I got DQ'd, and it was 8-1 then all of a sudden, or 7-1. I can't remember what it was. I remember just going back to my hotel room and just being so like, can't believe I have a loss on my record. And it killed me for months because it was like an OCD thing. I wanted to be 10-0 with my goal. I was like, I'm going to be 10-0. Imagine that, do you know what I mean? That was my whole thing. Like, I think the last person in Irish MMA that got to 10-0 was Paddy Houlihan.
Right?
Yeah, I think he was 10-0 or 11-0, I believe, before he got into the UFC. And I remember thinking, I'm going to get to that 10-0. It'd be deadly, do you know what I mean? Getting to that, like 10-0, all, you know. And then obviously when that happened, it ruined me. It wrecked me head for so long that now looking back, it's like whatever. I know I won the fight. That number means nothing really. And to other people it may mean something, but to me, I know I won. He knows I won. You know?
Exactly.
I got DQ'd. He went home knowing I smashed him. Do you know what I mean? But unfortunately, I have to live with that little number. I understand it can ruin people's health. You know, mental health is just you know. Whatever. You have to get over it. You have to get over it.
It must be. I always think that when you see it with fighters, fighters, like if they haven't owned a record, like I'd nearly probably rather just lose a fight earlier in my career just so I don't have that because I feel like the bigger it goes, the bigger it gets.
That happens to you if you really learn from it. You know what I mean? There's something. It's like someone said before, it takes a weight off your shoulders getting that loss away. And I think for me, anyway, I'm a pro. Having a lot of amateur fights early is important to get that out of the way, because I've lost loads as an amateur, and it kind of just gears you up to be like, right, you wake up the next day, you're all right, you know, the people that still like you, you know, the gym is still there, it's all good, you lost, you feel like shit for a while, go back to the gym and go again. It's just a sport at the end of the day, and if you learn that as an amateur and then you turn pro, at least it's out of the way now. You felt it, you've experienced what the loss feels like, or you got choked out, or you lost the decision that you thought you wanted. These things are important to learn early. And when you go pro, it's not that bad then. It still is bad. Like you still have, you know, I'm a very, very, very competitive person. I have to win. Like. But I understand it is a roll of the dice at the end of the day. It can be anyone's night. I know that. I've been on both sides of it. I've been guaranteed I'm going to win this fight, and then you lose and you're like, I didn't see this coming. And then I've been on the opposite where, this is a hard fight. Like, for instance, the week my son was born, I was very sick. I got COVID. Very, very sick. This is before I knew what COVID was. I was in a heat for like 10 days. My son was born 4 days before the fight. My girlfriend was very sick. I went in, and if I was ever going to lose a fight, it was this fight. I was like, I'm going to lose this fight. Even in my head, I was thinking, I'm nuts taking this. But I had to take it because it's just who I am. Went in and I won it. And I remember just saying, like, fucking hell, like, I was mad. Win that fight where everything stacked against me. Like, everyone thought I was going to lose that fight. Like, my teammates were like, you shouldn't take this fight. Like, you know, I was sick. And I just said, I have to do it. Like, cause
is that the one where you went on the mic after the fight and gave a shout out to your son and your missus?
Yeah, that was that. And she was there. You know, that was 4 days. He was born the Tuesday, I fought on the Friday. You know what I mean? I was couldn't wait in the hospital, in the Rotunda hospital.
No way.
Yeah, I was skipping. I was couldn't wait in the hospital. Yeah, it was funny. Yeah, looking back, it's funny. But I was very sick. I had a chest infection. I was like, in a bad way, and if I was ever gonna lose, that was the night. Now I went to the decision, and it was a close fight. It wasn't my best performance, but I learned a lot of, like, if I can get through that,
perspective.
Give me an easy week, then I could, you know, Moral of the story: don't have a baby fight week.
You didn't plan that one well.
Not a good shout. No, I didn't.
Baby and COVID in the same week.
Definitely didn't.
Not the optimal fight conditions.
It was February 2020, before it all kicked off.
That's literally right beforehand.
The end of February 2020. Before the world shut down. 3 weeks later, the world shut down. Then. Yeah, and we all went into lockdown. Remember that shit? Let's not don't get me started.
That's it, man. That'll be that was journey. But that's a great point you make about the losses. But like, it's great to get that experience as an amateur. You lose fights, you kind of just get used to the feeling. The world keeps moving. I can keep getting better. Do you find that the higher levels you go in the sport, the harder it is to deal with loss, or do you think the experience you gain from getting to those heights makes it easier to deal with?
I mean, I think it's a personal thing. You know, some people deal with losses very bad. Some people, you know, my last loss, I dealt with it very bad, but I had a lot of shit going on even before I got the contract. And I was borderline, like, walking away from MMA. Do you know what I mean? And I was like, I was all over the shop, and then obviously I got the contract to the UFC, and I was like, fuck, it all came at the worst time in my life. Really, I was like, I'm not ready for this. I haven't been training that much. I wasn't sharp. Like, I was hitting pads and lifting weights, but I wasn't grappling. I wasn't sparring. I wasn't wrestling. I wasn't in shape. You know, I'm in better shape today than I was 2 weeks before that fight. Like, flying to Australia. I mean, I had so much against me. And again, as a fighter, you're always an optimist. You always think, I will win though somehow.
You find a way.
This is the story. Like, that's what everyone tells themselves. It's like, but all that shit against me, I will pull her off. I'll catch him the perfect shot. You always convince yourself, I will catch him though. I will hit him. I will take him down. I will get his back. I will. And then when it doesn't work out, you're sitting there like, maybe, you know, I should have asked for a longer camp. But it is what it is. Again, it's a roll of the dice. It can be anyone's night. You know what I mean? That's genuinely what I believe. Like, so.
Yeah.
It's the hardest sport in the world, and no matter what anyone says, it's not even up for debate unless you've made that walk and fought another man in a cage as a professional. You'll never ever understand. There's no sport that compares to this. It's life or death in there, and it's a sport until the referee says fight, and then it's a fight. Like, today in the gym was a sport. I'm doing 10 rounds of killers. It's a sport. They're not trying to kill me. They're trying to push me and get the most out of me. On fight night, if you were getting a few elbows to the head, you start thinking this isn't really a sport.
You
know, I've been in them wars, and I'm telling you, you're on your own in that hospital.
Should have played golf instead.
I should have picked up bleeding darts. I always say it. I think sometimes I picked up golf. I'd be like Rory McIlroy flown around the amount of hours I put in.
You wouldn't even have to do a weight cut or anything. No.
I know, but maybe in a different life. I'm a fighter at the end of the day, so it is what it is.
It is. Talk to us a little bit. You just came back from Thailand last week or the week before, was it?
Just last Sunday,
What was the decision to go to Thailand, and how was your time over there?
Well, my friend James Scholar, he lives over there, and he loves the gym he trains in, and again, it was like training's been going good over here and stuff like this, and you know, I just needed to get away and refocus again and kind of fall in love with martial arts again. I was kind of falling out of liking training, if that makes sense. I was kind of forcing myself to go to the gym for a while, and I wasn't really enjoying training for a long time. You know, I was kind of, when I'm doing this like 24 years, right? I'm doing it a long time, so it becomes part of who I am. But then sometimes when you go to the gym, it was like, I don't really want to be here, but I'm just doing it anyway. Because it's what I do. Do you know what I'm saying? And I had no desire to fight. I didn't get the itch to fight. I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I kept getting injuries, and I was just like fed up with this shit. You know what I mean? I haven't enjoyed it in a while. So like James was like, look, come over to Thailand. It's such a good place for your head. People are great. The weather's great. You get to rest and recover after sessions. You get massages for fucking dirt cheap. Everything. It's the life, really. It's paradise, you know. He's like, just come for a month and see how you feel. And within a week, I really understood what he meant. You know what I mean? Because it's paradise for fighters. Because the work ethic is next to none. It's really hard work. The coaching over there is amazing, and at Bangtao, and the lifestyle is great. I have 3 kids over here, so I don't get the rest. Do you know what I mean? Like, me sleep is all over the place. I'm up early, I'm busy. It's a lot. You know what I mean? Over there, I was literally waking up, training for 2-3 hours, napping. I never nap over there. I didn't know myself over there. Then again, training the night time. I'd be in bed at 8-9 o'clock, and I was, and that was my routine. And I just felt amazing. I was getting ice baths every day, massages every day, and you just feel like a better athlete because of it. You know what I mean? But I really enjoyed my month over there, and I'm debating even going back before this fight. Like, I'm kind of debating whether maybe I go back and do another 3 weeks, 4 weeks of just put the head down, blinkers on, and just get the work in. Do you know what I mean? Because it is a good place to focus like that. To be fair, do you know what I mean? It's over here. I have a lot going on. You know what I mean? It's funny. Like, when you're in Dublin, I've just so much going on with family and kids, and it's just seeing people and.
Even walking in the car park there, people recognise you. Kiefer, give us tickets at it.
I know, it's funny. I don't mind all that. Like, it's nice. You're fucking getting recognised in Thailand as well. It's like, it's funny, because over here you're getting like English and Irish people and people from all over the world that are popping in, and you never, people from Australia. Just saying, no, you're from the UFC. And it's like, that's gas, you know what I mean? Some lad from Sydney or something. It's just funny, you know what I mean? How it works. But the gym is a fighter's gym, so obviously everyone knows fighters. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably why. But it's a great gym, banked out, to be honest. I really enjoyed it.
The quality of coaches and everything like that.
The coach, like the Hickman brothers, Frank and George Hickman, own the gym. And they're 2 high level wrestlers. Like, Frank is one of the best wrestlers I've ever trained with. Really good, like fucking high level wrestler, and I got great work in with him, good sparring with him. And Brad Riddell is another MMA coach. Michael Zavas, he's one of the best Western kickboxers in the world. I was getting great work with him. And my friend Conor McBride, he's the boxing coach, very good boxer. He's trained the likes of Mick Conlon and all these lads, so it was just a great mix of everything. Do you know what I mean? And even the strength and conditioning coaches. My mate Woody, he was Alexander Volkanovski strength and conditioning coach. He's on the Ultimate Fighter. He's a high level wrestler as well. So it was like you're getting the best of everything from everyone. Every day. So it was nice to mix that up for a while and change. It's always good to change up the scenery as well. I think it's refreshing. I think. Do you know? And it's actually probably one of my biggest regrets is not traveling and training more. To be honest, I'm very like. I'm staying in Dublin. I'm not moving. I'm doing everything from Dublin, and I'm very proud of that. Do you know what I mean? Everything I've ever accomplished is from here. I'm not a gym hopper. I've never been a gym hopper. But in between fights, it would have been nice to float around, do a bit of training, learn from other people, and there's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? It's probably one of my biggest regrets. But I mean, I still have a long time to go. I can still do that now. Do you know what I mean? So,
nice. Excellent, man. Excellent. It's cool to see, like, the willingness to just go and take it, because obviously you've got kids here, you've got family here, and we've spoken to Shauna, especially when she was on the podcast, about the dynamic of being a ma and being a fighter and the sacrifices, but I'll never actually really hear much of it from a father's perspective, you know the way. How do you find that in juggling being a dad but also being a professional fighter and kind of having to be selfish in some ways to make sure that you're able to perform at your best to provide?
Yeah, it's very hard, you know what I mean? Like obviously I'm a very hands-on full-time dad as well, you know what I mean? So there's only so much energy you can exert every day, and obviously a lot of my energy, if not all of it, goes into training, you know what I mean? And like, as I said, it's the hardest sport in the world. So when you're doing 10 5-minute rounds of MMA grappling with killers for an hour and a half, and then you do a sauna stint afterwards, it's very hard to be like, right, let's just go to playground now for an hour. And even though I do it, it's still a lot of energy consumed. Again, let's go back, I'm going to cook a meal for everyone now, and I have to go back training now in 2 hours. And I have to get my calories in, and I have to, I should be resting in that time. So trying to juggle all that is very difficult. Now, I understand that this fighting career is not forever, so it's a very short part of my life. I have the rest of my life with my kids, and they know the sacrifices I make, and they will know when they're a lot older. Like obviously my son is 2, and I have another son who's 4. They're very young, so my daughter's 13, so she understands a lot more than they do. They don't have a clue, do you know what I mean? They don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going training.
Where's daddy?
Do you know what I mean? And when I'm back, it's full on. But I definitely felt the difference when I was in Thailand of having zero responsibilities. And I've never had that. I've never had zero responsibilities. I have a lot of responsibilities over here. I have a lot of shit to do, do you know what I mean? So it's very hard to juggle it all. And but like, look, I'm so grateful and so blessed that I have 3 amazing, healthy, beautiful kids, you know what I mean, that I get to lead by example and show them that, like, I made up my mind I wanted to do something, and it's deemed impossible. I still did it and went and do it. So hopefully when they're older, they can take inspiration from that, and whatever they want to do, they'll have, I can't just say to them, you can do it. I can say, no, I've done it, you know what I mean? You can do it, like, it can be done. Don't ever tell me you can't do something, because you can, like. I never had that from my family or anything like that. It was all me. But for them now, at least they have someone that, like, I can tell them, like, no matter what you want to do, we can do this shit. You know what I mean? That's the type of dad I am. And even with my daughter, like, she's smarter than me. Genuinely, she's smarter. She's read more books than me. Her exams, like, even last week, she's getting like 80+% in every single exam. It's mental. Like, she's so intelligent. And it's all because of me and her mother. Do you know what I mean? It's because they're putting that work into them, and it's paying off. Thank God.
Quality, man. I know you did, and one thing we're always big on is obviously painting pictures of like the high points and all the successes, but also all the shit times that lead up to the successes, because it's easy to watch, say, like on end of July we'll see Kiefer walking out to the octagon and all the cameras on, like, oh man, I'd love to do that, like that'd be class, but nobody really gets to see all the stuff that goes on behind the scenes leading up to that point. And you mentioned before you got the UFC contract for your debut, that you were at a stage there of being like, do I just walk away? Like, what was going on for you at that point?
Yeah, it was like, I had that, so it's kind of a long enough story. So like, I fought Cowboy Oliveira in April of last year, 23, and that was for a world title. So, and he's a UFC veteran, had 24 fights in the UFC, very well known fighter. Do you know what I mean? Like, he would have been a very famous fighter in the UFC. He's fought like the likes of Kevin Holland, Donald Cerrone. Like, fought like big names. So he was a well established fighter, and I'd come off two wins. And I got the opportunity to fight him in Portugal in a big 20,000 seat arena. So he's Brazilian, so he would have a very big Brazilian fan base in Portugal. But it was for a world title, and I knew this is it now. If I win this fight, I'll definitely get a UFC contract, because it's such a big name, world title, And I knew though, going over, when I landed there, like, the odds were against me. All the staff was against me. The promoters didn't want me to win that fight. It was all for him. And I was like, shit, I have to not only win, I have to finish him, because I can't go to a decision. If I go to a decision, the judges are going to just give it to him. Even if I smash him for 3 rounds, I'm going to get ripped. It's just, I knew it. Nobody was even speaking English to me. They were all speaking Portuguese. And I was just like, I'm out of my depth. I have to not only win, I have to finish him. Do you know what I mean? So I did that. I finished them first round. There was a war. I came out on top. It was great. And then I was expecting, right, UFC, here we go. And then as the weeks and months were going on, my manager was like, they're just not interested. Like, and I was just like, man, what the fuck else do I have to do here? He's like, just stay busy. The Contender Series is always there, And I was like, but I'm not the beating like a fucking UFC veteran. Normally the Contender Series is someone who's like 4-0, 5-0. I'm a big name fighter in Ireland. I'm asking for the UFC. I'm calling day out non-stop. Let's go, give me a shot. And it wasn't happening, so I was kind of like, fuck. Then this boxing fight came up. So when that boxing fight came up, I mean, I'd done 6-7 weeks of boxing training. That was a lot of fun. you know, it was so much easier than MMA. Like,
I can imagine.
It's not even that, like, it was enjoyable. Like, MMA training is not that enjoyable. I broke up every day. Like, I ain't going around broke up every day. I'm broke up now sitting here. Like, you just don't see it.
We had to wheel him in a wheelchair.
I'm telling you. You'd be in a heap. But that boxing fight was so easy, and like, it was fun, and he was against a celebrity and the whole lot, and it was in Trivian. Had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Every punch that he was throwing at me, I was like, that's it. Like, I'm getting paid. This is easy. I've had harder training sessions than this.
Yeah.
The spars I was having leading up to were harder. Definitely.
Yeah.
So then after that, my mind was like, what do I want to do next? Will I just do this boxing thing, make some money, fight all these dopes, these celebrities?
Did you call someone out after that fight?
Tommy Fury, yeah.
Tommy Fury, that's the one,
like, that's another story.
Oh, lovely.
He turned me down twice.
I'm not surprised.
So he called out an MMA fighter for me. You want to fight these MMA fighters? I was straight on the phone to my manager. I was like, get me that fight. I can beat him in a boxing match. My manager reached out to his manager. I think his manager was not Frank Warren. I can't remember who. And they said, Kiefer doesn't fit the bill, is what they said back in the email. I don't fit the bill. And I was like, what do you mean I don't fit the bill? I'm a mouthy Irish man who's calling him out, and I'll box him. Like, then he ended up fighting this other lad, Anthony Taylor.
Yes, pretty boy.
And I was like, how does he fit the bill? And I don't fit the bill. Of course, your man's only 5'4". He's tiny. Right, and he went the distance and he struggled with beating him. So, like, when I seen that fight, I was even more so confident. I was like, I can actually beat this lad in a boxing match. And then obviously they were like, look, you haven't even boxed before. So then when I had the Ardent fight, then I was like, all right, I'm going to win this fight and then call him out again.
Nice.
Did that, wasn't interested, didn't want to fight me again. So I was like, right, fuck him, do you know what I mean? He doesn't really want it. Like.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a great fight. I mean, I've always said it, but now obviously I'm in the UFC, so it all worked out. But after that boxing fight, I didn't know which route I wanted to go down. And my manager was like, the UFC just aren't really, like, you know, getting back to us here, and they're telling you to have a few more fights. And at that stage, I was like, where do I even fight? Like, do I fight for pennies against another fucking beast? And then I was just like, I don't even think I want to do this anymore. I don't want to go back to the drawing board and fighting on these small shows. I've been doing this shit, you know? And it's like, it's so, like, there's no money in MMA. People think, like, when you're having MMA fights, you're making mad bread. Like, there's no money at all in MMA, like, especially on the local scene. Like, you have to sign a contract with a big organisation to get some sort of money, like. So I'm getting offered like fucking buttons to fight killers, and I'm just like, I'm not doing this shit. I'm not investing money into camp and doing this, and I'm not doing it, you know what I mean? So it's either the UFC or I don't know what I'm just going to jack this in and do something else, maybe boxing, or I don't know. So I wasn't really training MMA for a while because I was just I lost heart that day. I really did, and I got really like badly depressed over the whole. I was like, fuck this MMA shit, I'm not doing this anymore, do you know what I mean? So I was just doing a bit of boxing and lifting weights, and then next of all, welcome to the UFC, you're up in 2 weeks, and I was just like, man, this couldn't have come at the worst time. I wasn't ready, you know, at all for it. And then obviously I said, fuck it though, let's go. Like, I'm going to do it anyway. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not going to say no now,
let's have a go. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to go out and take his head off, and that's my plan here. I have a good, you know, I'm just going to bite down a fight, and I did. And in fairness of watching the fight, like, if you watch it, I've watched it 100 times. Like, I actually won every single strike and exchange. Yeah. And then I fucked up in the last 30 seconds, and he took me back and done great. He's a very good fighter, man. Very, very good fighter. So, that was shit. And then obviously that loss was very hard for me to take, and it was such a big moment in my life of like everything I've worked for 15 plus years, 18 years. This is it now. I've got here, and it was such a mad 2 weeks of like media, and my phone didn't stop, man. I didn't sleep for days when I got the call. I just couldn't believe, holy shit! Like, I'm flying out in 2 days. I couldn't get into the head. You know what I mean? And then obviously when you lose, it's such a big fucking hell, you know, drop. And I was just so hard to deal with that loss. It hit me in a different way than any other loss. Normally I'm very good at dealing with losses. It is what it is. I'm pissed off and just get over it. Do you know what I mean? I understand the game. Do you know what I mean? I've been in it so long. It's like it's either my night or it's his night, and that's the way it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's not that I'm a shit fighter or anything. It's that, like, sometimes you just lose. And it's funny if you look at social media. It's like if you win, you're great. When you lose, you are shit. And it's like don't ever go to your fans on social media to get any sort of like feedback. Feedback. Fuck all that, man. Because once you lose, you're the worst fighter of all time. You're dirt. You should never be there. Like,
you have an outfit sitting on a sofa, like he's shit.
It's hilarious, and I've never ever got backlash in my life the way I've got backlash after that fight. My God, you want to see what we found? Like, it was actually hard to believe. It was, and none of that affects me ever. I was more so in disbelief that people would texting me that amount of times, like,
oh,
you're
man.
sure you're, and I was like, fucking hell, boy.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Nothing better than
Yeah, literally.
Like, I don't mind a bit of stick, but when it's from Irish people, it's like, whoa, what is that here? You know what I mean? But look, it is what it is, and it, you know, it took a while to get over that. And, you know, my next fight, it's going to be a 10-month stretch from my last one, but I think I'm a different person now. I've overcome a lot of shit in the last 10 months and a lot of mental shit, and you know, I'm back to my old self again of like, I'm flat out training, I'm just focused now. Do you know what I'm saying? And I'm in a good spot right now. So, and I still have a lot of time to still train, you know. I actually thought I was going to be up in June on Connor's card.
Yeah, trio trade.
That was the plan. That was the whole thing. That's why I went to Thailand to knuckle down, and I'm up in my head I was up in June, and then they switched it to Manchester.
Right,
so
okay.
it just gives me that extra bit of time to prepare.
Was there something in the works for June, or?
That's what I originally planned, and we pitched it to them, and they were thinking, looking for opponents and stuff. So I was like, oh shit, it's working out, like. And then it just didn't work out. They said, nah, we want you on the Manchester card now instead. So look, it is what it is. It'll be, there's pros and cons. Obviously, my family can get to go to Manchester a lot easier than Vegas. You know, it's a lot cheaper, so it's good for everyone to go over and see me fight live, you know.
Were you due to have a fight? Was it like February time, something
February
like that?
with Tembe Gorimbo, and I rolled my back. So I had a back injury since 2018. I blew a disc in my back really badly. I ruptured a disc, and oh man, it was the worst injury I've ever had. Do you know what I mean? It was such a fucking bad injury, and it took 8 months to really get back on my feet. Like, do you know what I mean? And my back went again in December, and it was just in bits. And once the back goes, like, everything goes, you know. And it's like, you can't walk around a back. Like, if you hurt your hands, you can kind of walk around. You can run. When I blew me back, like, I couldn't put my socks on. I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't get into my car. I couldn't drive my car. Like, that's how bad it was. So, like, training up for a fight, it was literally impossible. No matter what I was doing, I was taking diaphragm. I was trying to do and I was doing physio 4 times a week. Nothing was working. Do you know what I mean? So it's impossible to train for a fight. You know what I mean? When you have an injury like that, and I never pull out fights. I hate pulling out fights. Like, if I pull out a fight, it's serious. Like, I've gone into fights with bad injuries. You know, I've had like a detached QL. I've blew me AC joint. I've done a lot of stuff to myself, and I've gone into the fights and still fought on. Like, you know what I mean? And like, I've even had like fractured bones, thinking I'm gonna take this fight. I'm never pulling out. So if I pull out, it's a serious one. So that back injury was just fucked, and it took me a while to get over that again. But actually feels great now, thank God.
Happy days.
I'm back to normal again, thank God.
Yeah. Back injury aside, from a mental perspective, do you look back on it and be like, I'm kind of glad that fight didn't work out because it gave me the extra time?
Yeah, no, it wasn't myself. I went into the fight, I wouldn't even been able to train for it. And like a good friend of mine who's a doctor, he's one of the smartest people I know. He rang me and he's like, do you really want to take this fight and go in and show another half-arsed version of yourself? Or do you want to just bite the fucking bullet, pull out this fight, and then go in and show a full version of yourself? And I was kind of like, yeah, that is a good point, you know what I mean? Because the first time I showed a shit version of me, he's like, you're only going to go into the second one and show a shit version of yourself again. And he's like, you're going to look back on this and regret it. He's like, as hard as this is, you should pull out this fight, get healthy. And I was like, yeah, that's a good point, you know what I mean? So I took his advice and I had to do it. And even when my back went, my head went, and I was just like all over the place. I just couldn't get myself together. I was like, this is just, how is this happening? So, you know, it's a knock-on effect. When you have an injury, like, it does mess with your head, do you know? Because like, our bodies are our line of work. Like, if we hurt our body, like, we can't train, we can't prepare for a fight. Like, and that's our job, is to be able to do that every day. So keeping yourself intact is a hard task when you're fighting every day and wrestling, and, you know, you're going with people that are trying to hurt you. Like, like, my job in fighting is I'm trying to hurt you but not injure you. You know, I'm trying to, like, get you in an armbar, but I don't want to go too far. Like, sometimes mistakes happen, or you know, you get in. I've seen so many injuries in my life that it's like, it's common practice now. You see it in the gym. I didn't mean to blow your knee out. Like, it just happens. And me back again, it's just one of those things. It's like, I could try to lift someone a certain way and jerk a certain way. He might resist, and then, my back's gone again. And these things happen so much. And again, this is, as you said earlier, this is the shit people don't see. They see the 15-minute fight and judge you on that. It's like, you don't see the months leading up to this of what we have to do every day. Like, we're in wars every day. You know what I mean? Literally putting our bodies on the line every single session. And it's like, you don't understand what we go through, you know, every single day. Like it's rough going, do you know. The fighting is the easy part. It really is. That walk to the cage is like, thank God I'm here. I made it, I'm fresh, I'm all right, you know what I mean? Let's get through this fight now. And I don't even mind getting injured in a fight, because I can take the time off after it, but it's in the gym, it's, you know, avoiding injuries is the big thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. So was it'd be a 10-month stretch, you said, between your last fight and this fight? I remember Volkanovski after the second fight with Islam, and he was kind of just, why did you take that fight on short notice? He didn't need to, and he was saying, like, mentally, when he hasn't got a fight booked, hasn't got something to prepare for, it's very hard for him to be anything other than the fighter. Is that something you've struggled with over time, or have you always been able to switch in and out of fight mode?
It's funny you said that, yeah. So last week I was training with Volk on the day before I left, was he? So long story short, the boxing coach over there texted me, said, hey, do you want to do a bit of training tomorrow morning, a bit of boxing, and Volk, and we come down and do some pads? And I was like, yeah, 100%, I'll be there. So showed up at 9, Volkanovski was there, and I was chatting away, met him the whole lot, and we done an hour of like drills and pad work, and he just said, do you want to do some sparring? And I was like, yeah, let's go, yeah, I'll do some sparring. So we gloved up and we done 3 rounds of boxing sparring. And after the spar, man, he must have talked to me for like 40 minutes. And it's kind of funny because he actually came to support the lad I fought in Australia, their teammates.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And as I was walking to the cage, so I was walking in my locker room, the staff were like, all right, just hold for a second. When I was letting these people in, they were opening the door from a bus, and they let in, it was Volkanovski and all these, and he's like, hey, good luck, and I was like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? I was like, I was just like, I'm walking to this fight, I don't give a fuck, you know what I mean? And I remembered that, and he was cage side, obviously supporting Kevin at the time, and he said all this to me after. I remember being there, man, fucking fair fuck street, I took it on short notice, I was in the same boat, and he went on to talking about the Islam fight. And he was like, you know, we're actually in the same boat. I took that on 12 days notice. I know exactly what you went through. Fair play to you. And I was like, do you regret taking it? And he's like, nah, no way. Fuck no. He's like, we're fighters. Fighters fight. I showed up. I got paid. I put it all on the line. I gave it my best. And he talked about what I said earlier as well, is that as a fighter, you never look at the bad outcome. You always look at the good outcome. You never think like, well, what if I get knocked out?
Yeah.
You always think, yeah, but what if I knock him out? You know, there's always a part of you saying, oh, but what if I get knocked out? But at the same time, you always think, yeah, but I'll just catch him that perfect shot. And that'll be the story. I came off the couch and I knocked him out, and everyone counted me out. And that's the Rocky story we all want, you know what I mean? As fighters, we're very unique as athletes, because we're the only athletes really that would convince ourselves that much to get in there. We're going to do it anyway. Which is like, what's the worst thing that could happen if you lose a football match? You know, what's the worst outcome? You kind of go, they scored a goal. Yeah. That's shit. Get them next week. What's the worst thing that happen if you're in an MMA fight? You can get fucked up. You can get KO'd in front of the whole world. You can get head kicked like Volk did. And he talked about that, and he was like, it was so hard to take that loss, and it killed him, do you know what I mean? And as he said, like, you know, it's having nothing coming up, and you're sitting there, we're fighters, and our job is to have another fight coming up and to train and have a purpose. And when I got that call, it was like, if you don't take this fight, you're probably not going to fight in the UFC, so you kind of have to take it. You know, it was a gun to the head job. And then not for a second did I think I'm not going to take it. I was going to take it. I just wish I had more time and I was more prepared. I was disappointed in myself for being out of shape, do you know? But again, lesson learned. I made the walk. I felt it. There was a pay-per-view event. There was a big arena. Bruce Buffer. Everything was all. The whole shebang, it was just the only thing that was off was me. So like the next time, it's like at least I have time to get myself ready now.
It's in your
control. Felt all this shit already. Like the walk, the cameras, the whole lot. I felt it all. Done it all. That's irrelevant now. Now it's all on me. Me being going in there 100%. And then it's going to be a different outcome the next time. Different person, different performance, you know. I'm not even going to look the same. It's going to be like, oh shit, this is the real debut. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
The last one was a piss poor debut, and I know that. You have to take it on the chin. It was just good to get his perspective on it as well. And him remembering who I was and being there and watching his teammate beat me. And I was like, and then talking to me about dealing with that shit afterwards, and then we obviously sparred, and he gave me a lot of good info, and he's a good lad, him. I actually really appreciated like that talk, and I learned a lot that day.
No better man to talk to, Jesus. To be so dominant in the featherweight division and then to suffer the losses.
He's a nice bloke, you know what I mean? He's just a genuinely nice bloke. Like, you know, there's no bullshit about him. He's a beast as well. We had a great spar, great training.
I can imagine,
He's a beast, I only got to do that one day training with him. I was leaving the next day. So maybe next time I'll get some more training.
Like conversations like that one conversation is probably worth the whole trip.
Yeah.
In and of itself.
It really was, yeah. Like, it was good. Like, obviously I'm very fortunate to be around such high level fighters for many years, and call some of them my teammates, and I've got some great info of so many great people, do you know what I mean, that you wouldn't even believe, and having chats like this all the time. And it's kind of like a respect thing. It's like some people give the fame thing more credit than it deserves.
Yeah.
More so than the work ethic. There's people in my gym you wouldn't even know, and they're killers, and they're absolute monsters. Like, you wouldn't even know who they are, and they're just unbelievably good at like wrestling or grappling, whatever the fuck, you know. And it's when you train with someone that good, there's something that happens. You're like, wow, you're unbelievably good.
Yeah.
You don't even have Instagram. You're not a big name or anything like that, but it's like you're unbelievable. And there's something to learn from that. That like when you're two big named fighters, but you're also very, very good, and you train together, you kind of get respect off each other, and then you just kind of have that bond of like, you know, what info can I get off you that's going to, you know, help me, and what info can I give you that's a kind of a martial arts code. Do you know what I mean? That was the good thing about going to Bang Tao, was like, I was in my depth over there. They weren't my teammates. I didn't know anyone. I was going in there, but a lot of them knew who I was, and they were like, oh, he's a UFC fighter, right? I want to do a round with him. They want to test themselves against me. Sometimes I was doing rounds with people, and they'd be like, oh no, I fight in, you know, Octagon. I'm the Octagon champion, and like, you know, Czech Republic. And I'm like, oh fuck, 30 plus fights or whatever. And it's nice to mix it up with these people. And there was a respect thing after the rounds, you know what I mean? It's like, fuck, I didn't even know who you were. I knew you were good by obviously feeling how good you were. Then afterwards we'd have a chat, and it was like, you know, this is what martial arts is here.
Yes.
We're both throwing our skills out there and doing our shit, and afterwards we get to talk about it, do you know what I mean, and learn from it. That's the way it should be, really, do you know what I mean? Obviously, sometimes you end up fighting these people, that's fine, but you just take that emotion out of it for a second and focus on the skills. There's something to, you know, really learn about training with other people and talking to them, do you know what I mean? You can get a lot from it, I think.
Definitely. And it does seem like one of the sports, and maybe it's just because the nature of the sport is so demanding, there's a lot of humility at the high levels of the sport in comparison to a lot of the other sports.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's martial arts, and again, it goes back to the martial arts code about like honour and respect. And again, obviously MMA is a lot more mainstream now, and there is a lot of dickheads, like every sport. It's, you know, there could be 50 people on the mat and 47 of them are sound, and you might get 3 dickheads, and that's always going to be the case. It'd be hard not to get that. You know what I'm saying? And obviously it's such an egotistical sport of like, we are all there to win, and we are all there to get better, and we are all there to, you know, compete or whatever. And maybe some people have a fight very close and they want to ramp it up that day. They also get that as well. And then, you know, you might get someone on a bad day, had a bad day today, and he's going in to take his shit out on you, and that's just the way it is. And instead of like, again, not passing the ball to you, no, he's gonna try and fuck you up. Like, you know, John, that's the way this works. And it's gonna, I've been doing this so long, I've seen it all. It's like, you know, I'm a very respectful martial artist, and I'm a workhorse too. I'll get in and do the hard rounds and the hard work too, but at the end of the day, you'll always get a bow and a shake of hands and respect off me. Whether I do have a good round or a bad round, I'll always like, well done. It's respect at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? Because that's what it should be all about anyways. Yeah,
for sure, man.
It's beautiful. It's me and Lee have just started to get a bit more involved in the MMA community recently with like different master classes, podcasts, that sort of thing.
You just do MMA?
I literally just started last month.
Where?
It's a place called De La Riva Academy, so it's out
Jiu-Jitsu gym?
Jiu-Jitsu, yeah, so doing Jiu-Jitsu, so very early days. Nice. But even in that little environment there, so
he's a welterweight as well. If
for a few stars.
Yeah,
actually 77, yeah.
No, what would I be? I'd be about, I'm 67 at the minute kilo, so
you probably cut the flyweight if you're looking for
if he's looking for a fight,
Chop your leg off.
Yeah, fuck's sake. But it's something I've even noticed is like the culture in those gyms and those environments is like there's so much respect, and from the outside looking in you'd think, oh, they're just all a bunch of like predators and they're out battering each other and you know, all this sort of stuff. It's like when you're actually in there and you see it and get to like feel it. Even when we were up in SBG last week shooting some master classes, and that's like so much respect, so much humility, so welcoming. And it's like there's obviously ego involved in the sport because you have to have a bit of ego to think, oh, I'll get in there and knock him out, you know, like that's part and parcel of it.
Absolutely.
But how like welcoming it is, and like there's just a respect for anyone who's willing to get in there and try it, regardless of your skill level, your age, your gender, your race, your religion, any of that crack. Like if you're willing to get onto a mat and give it a bash and stand up and shake someone's hand at the end of it, then that's all we're asking for.
That's the way it should be. Like obviously I've been in different gyms over the years, and some gyms aren't like that. Do you know what I mean? Some gyms are very like
clicky or whatever else,
very clicky and very like the opposite of that. You know, a new person comes in, so there's a target on your head now. You know, and then I've been in gyms that are very like jiu-jitsu is very different to MMA as well. Though, like in jiu-jitsu, it should be all about that. Like, you know, it's about like, you know, respect and everything's real chill. There should be like that. But there is gyms as well that you wouldn't believe that you would just avoid going to. Like, you know what I mean? And but again, MMA is different as well, I suppose. Jiu-jitsu is a great martial art to do, especially if you have no desire to fight. It's just to learn how to grapple and learn how to, you know, defend yourself, or just for fitness. And obviously, if you've done jiu-jitsu around, you know how difficult it is. You know, it's very. You probably think, oh, I'm fucking strong, I can do this and that. And you get someone who's half decent, and you're like, fuck, I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, man.
You realise very quick how vulnerable you are.
You
have no idea what you're doing. And I always say to people, like, don't talk shit about it until you do it. Like, do it, just give it a go. And then you can talk your shit if you want to still say that doesn't work or whatever, I'll just do that. And I remember thinking like this when I was 14, 15, like, I just wouldn't let anyone grab me. Simple as that. I just keep them away and box the head off until you get someone on you like a dog and they just take you down and pin you and you're like, oh shit, I don't have a choice here.
Literally,
you know what I mean?
control.
Like, I have no control over it unless I know what I'm doing. Unless I have an answer for it with my techniques, you know what I mean? You can't make it up. No. You know what I'm saying? You have to experience it and improve on it. And that's the beautiful thing about grappling, is that it takes time to really get good at it. Like, you can't just be good at it.
No, you can't fast track it.
No, and even like athletes and like people that do weights, they just think, surely I'll be better at it. Sure. Well, not really, like, because it's like it's ignorance then. You know, it's like doing any skill. It's like painting a picture. Like, you might think, I can paint a picture. If you've never painted a picture before, how good do you think you're really gonna be? Like, do you know what I mean? It's a skill that you just don't see. You just think it's easy because you see someone do it. When you try and do it and see how good it is, it's gonna be shit. You know what I mean? People look at grappling and go, I just bleeding stand up. I just wouldn't do that. Just grab him and
each other.
Just grab him and give it a go. Give it a go and get back to me.
They ignore the arts part at the end of martial arts. There's like, there's an art to it.
Listen, man, and the higher the level you get to, like, man, I get mauled. Do you know what I mean? By people. I got mauled this morning. That's what happens in this sport. It's crazy. Like, you get fucked up every day. Like, because my training partners are high level people. So, like, you know, I'm doing rounds with like mad wrestlers that are just like animals, and it's like I can't get them away from me. But if I can half do decent against him, well, I know my opponent isn't going to be able to get me down. Do you know what I mean? And that's the level I'm at. So, like, if I'm going with someone who has like never done any grappling before, it's very interesting. It's funny because it's like, I don't even have to try hard. I don't have to manhandle you. I just have to just know what I'm doing here. Be in the right spot at the right time. And
let you walk into it.
Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why I love grappling. It's so interesting. Do you know what I mean?
That's a great point you make. So I remember even United players speak about when Fergie was the manager. I know you're not a big football fan, but I'm a United fan.
I was a football fan when Fergie was the manager. I remember when I was growing up, I was a Man United fan. I was a kid. That's the last time I was a football fan. Fergie was the manager and David Beckham played for Man United.
Right.
I'm going way back here.
You got out on time.
We're going back a while now.
But the United players who played at that era always said training Monday to Friday was harder than the match on Saturday.
Oh, it has to be.
And what you were saying there is spot on. It's
has to be.
Putting yourself in positions in training that are so much more challenging than testing. That when you step into an octagon, it's like, I don't care who was out there against me, because he's not going to be any better than what I've been dealing with the last 6, 8, 10 weeks of camp. Yeah,
well, my coach Jimmy Upton, his whole philosophy, he always says it, is that your sparring should be harder than the fight. And like, he's a world champion. He's still only to this day the only ever wacko super heavyweight world champion to ever come out of Ireland in kickboxing, and he's a high level boxer as well. He's my striking coach, and man, he tells me stories about the spars he used to have about, like, in boxing, in Crumlin Boxing Club, and he'd be in the car park, rattled in that car, thinking, I have to go in here and do 6 rounds with this lad and heavyweights, and them spars, like, are way hard. And then boy, come fight night, you're cruising through a fight. They're not hitting you as many times, they're not hitting you as hard, you're not in the doghouse here. You've done the hard work for months on end. Going in doing 3 rounds with this lad, it should be a little level down. You know what I mean? That's how hard you should be pushing yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? And I do believe that. Like, you know, we done 10-5s this morning. Every single round I had was a hard round. I didn't have an easy round. There was no round that I got to relax and take a handy. Like, people were going at me today. I was like, fuck it. So I know, come fight night, I only have to do 3 rounds.
Yeah,
with this
3
lad.
rounds. Yeah.
And you know, I know my training partners are better than him. You know, if they can, if he can pin me, and I can half get up and I can do something and get back to my feet, I know I'm going to be able to get back to my feet with this lad. So that was always my mindset on, you know what I'm saying? And train with higher level grapplers than your opponent. So, like, there's not, if he can't submit me, there's no way he's going to be able to submit me. Do you know what I mean? So That should be the mindset across the board, not just with martial arts, but with any sport really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, anything, yeah. So how do we get confidence? Like, you don't just look in the mirror and tell yourself how great you are. It's like the work you put in behind the scenes is where the confidence comes.
Confidence has to be earned. You know what I mean? It's a practice. You can't give someone confidence. You know what I mean? Confidence only comes from your work ethic. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't just be confident. I have to earn that confidence. You know what I mean? Like, a lad came into the gym, he won a title last Saturday, and he's like, he actually said that to this morning. He's like, I'm really getting confident now and there. You know, I wasn't confident before. And I was like, yeah, because the proof is in the pudding, man. You have to come back with a belt here. You finished the bloke in the second round. You've earned that confidence. You should be confident. You know, there's a famous boxing coach called Teddy Atlas. I don't know if you know him.
Teddy Atlas,
he always says champions get 30% better. When you become a champion, you get 30% better, and every time you win, you get another 30% better. Yeah. So every time you win that fight or win that belt, you immediately get 30% better, and you see that across the board of champions in the UFC. The next fight, they're even better, and you're like, how is he? It's like this. It clicks in your brain. It's like, oh fuck, I am at that level. Do you know? And sometimes it takes a good win you have to remind yourself, oh fuck, I am good.
Yes.
You know, I am really that good. You know what I mean? And that's a big thing in competing, is that the wins do help your confidence grow. And then in turn make you a better athlete or fighter or whatever. Do you know what I mean? You start to genuinely believe in yourself. Because some people say they believe in themselves, but they don't really. No. They say, yeah, I believe in myself, but they're half second guessing. And then when they win a good win, they're like, fuck, I am good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's an important thing to take with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, what a point, man. In terms of strategy, obviously UFC, there's a lot of different fighters on the roster. I think you were saying on one podcast that you were the person that had the most opponents pull out.
Yeah,
ever, like in Irish history or something.
Before, yeah. I don't know if that's still true, but that was true back in a few years ago. Anyways, yeah.
Like, in terms of preparing for a fight, how much of your strategy is let me look at the opponent, see what he's good at, tailor my game plan to him, and how much of it is just, I know what I'm good at, this is what I'm gonna do?
Yeah, like in the UFC, I think it's changed a bit now, obviously, because I think the incentive for him to show up is a lot more than a small show.
Yeah,
when you're fighting on a small show, what I said earlier, you're getting peanuts to fight. Yeah. It's so much easier for an opponent to go, I don't want to fight him because you're getting €1,000 to show up and fight me. It's like you're sitting there in bed trying to tell yourself, why would I do that? You know what I mean? Which is like, if you're in the UFC and you've signed a contract and you're getting a certain amount of money and you're getting this opportunity, the likelihood of you pulling out is a lot slimmer. You know what I mean? So I would definitely study and have studied my next opponent. Now, I don't fall in love with it. I'm not falling in love with so it's actually a good example. It's because he's 6'4". Right? He's tall, he's skinny, he's long range. He's a very specific type opponent. For the next 7 weeks, I'm not just going to train with 6'4" people.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not, because if I do that then, and then on fight week, Kiefer, by the way, you're fighting a 5'8" wrestler southpah now. And then I'm like, but for the last 7 weeks, all I've trained with is 6'4" strikers. And, you know, then your mind's all over the shop. I will definitely get some good rounds in, and I have done some good sparring in the past couple of weeks with really tall people. But at the same time today, I got 10 rounds in with all different types of people. Yeah. And really, in them rounds, it's about me more so than him. So once I'm sharp and I'm making good decisions in grappling and wrestling, it doesn't really matter what height you are. Yes. Because if I get a hold of you and I take you down, we're on the ground, we're the same height now. If I put you on your back, we're the same height. Your 6'4" goes out the window real quick. If I get behind you and I take your back, I don't care how tall you are.
10 foot tall.
It doesn't go. It could be 10 foot tall, I'm behind you now. And I have a body triangle on you and I'm going for your neck. Then your range doesn't come into it. Do you know? It does come into it maybe when we're standing in front of each other and I'm standing right in the middle. Maybe then it can help you. It's a factor. But then it's about my timing and my speed and my shots that, you know, I'll have to get off at the right time. But I don't fall in love with just, okay, he's 6'4", I have to train with. Everyone has to be tall now. Do you know what I mean? Now, as I said, like, I will get some good sparring off the tall lads in my gym and get used to that body frame, of course, but anything can happen. 7 weeks away, he could get injured, anything can happen. Do you know what I mean? So, strategy-wise, I'm just going to do me, like I always do. Once I'm ready to fight, once I'm sharp and prepared, I can beat anyone. That's genuinely my mindset. I don't care who it is. I couldn't give two fucks whether he's 6'10". I couldn't care if he's a wrestler. I couldn't care who he is. If I'm sharp and I'm ready and I'm fit, I can beat anyone on any night. Do you know what I mean? And I genuinely believe that. Like, it's not about them, it's about me. So, you know what I mean? So that's genuinely what I do believe.
Oh, I love it, man. You were saying there it's about your style. If you had to describe to somebody who's never watched UFC or an MMA fight before, what is Kiefer Crosbie's style?
Mixed martial artist. You know, people obviously deem me a brawler. You know, it's because they've seen a few highlights. But I pride myself in being a high level mixed martial artist. I don't think I get enough credit for my fight IQ. Obviously, I probably studied more fights than anyone. Do you know what I mean? I'm not just a person that just trains and fights. I go home and I study all day. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking at fights all the time. I'm trying to pick up information off everything. Do you know what I mean? And improve my game. And I think I tick all the boxes. I mean, wrestling, grappling, striking, everything. I think I'm a high level mixed martial artist. Obviously, I do love a brawl. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't love a little scrap. You know what I mean? It's part of it. I love, you know, going back to that Mike Tyson mindset of just like, yeah, if the shots are working, keep them going. Do you know what I mean? If I can catch you, I think if I can catch anyone, I can hurt anyone. There's not a person alive the same weight as me that if I hit them, they're going to be able to take it. Like, I genuinely believe that. So I think you have to have that belief as well, in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I believe in my shots and I believe in my style to beat people, and I do love that part. My favourite part of fighting is hitting people. Some people love to shoot for a takedown and pin you and have that style. My style is to make it work on the feet and like catch you the perfect shot and out jab you and make you miss and then counter your shot or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Land that perfect leg kick or land that check left hook, and that's my favourite part of fighting, is being right in the middle, mixing it up and just catching them the perfect shots. And I love looking back at my own fights and studying, you know, like really analysing, like I should have stepped to the right there and caught my face or slid my head off the centre line or pulled or whatever. Those little details are very important to me, and that's my favourite part of fighting. Do you know what I mean? And every fight starts on the feet, you know, so I'm going to be on the feet anyway, so we may as well have a little rumble.
Make sure of it.
That's what I like to do.
No, I love the mindset, man. It's like you're always a student of it. It's always.
Absolutely, yeah. And it comes back to the love of it, you know what I mean? If you don't love what you do, you'll never do it for that long, you know? You'll quit it. Like, I genuinely love martial arts. I probably love martial arts more than I love fighting, you know? I just love watching martial arts. I love studying fights and watching every fight, you know, possible boxing matches, jiu-jitsu matches, street fights, self-defense situations, all of it. I love everything about combat in general. Do you know what I mean? That I just enjoy watching it. It's very interesting to me. Obviously, I'm sharing a lot of stuff on Instagram recently about even like street fights that are going on. It's always interesting to see it happening, because I'm not sharing this for putting it out there, look at this violence around like this. I'm sharing it because it's like, it's important for people to realise that this is the real world. Fights happen. I've been in 100 fights. I know what it's like for someone to be in your face and you don't want them to be in your face, and you're like, oh fuck, I'm in this situation now. And I've felt it. I know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to get a box from behind. I know it's a horrible feeling. It's like, oh shit, I didn't see that coming, you know. People have to realise that, like, no matter how much you want it to be the perfect real world with flowers and rainbows, sometimes you're going to end up in violent situations. And I see these fights all the time happening, and it baffles me that, like, someone will be standing in front of someone with their hands in their pockets looking around, knowing that this is a confrontational person about to hit you. And you're just letting this happen, as opposed to being ready, being in a stance, getting a bit of distance, you know, having something lined up, ready to go if you have to. You know what I mean? Or backing them up, or just understanding that this is a dangerous position you're in now. Do you know what I mean? And my favourite part is obviously watching like someone who's getting bullied, not wanting it, and then fucking the bully up. That's the them videos, man. They're my favourite things to watch. You know, when you see a young lad in school and he's like, I don't want to fight you, I don't want to fight you, and then he's like, all right, bang, take down, take us back, few shots, choke. Like, man, when I see them videos, I'm just like, fuck. That's my favourite thing to watch. Do you know what I mean? I swear to God, I love it, man. And it's brilliant to see, because that's what martial arts is. You have to have that respect. I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight you for my sake, for your sake. I don't want to fight you. I don't want to knock you clean out. But you're making me. You're asking for this.
Don't make me do it.
No, it's, you know, it's beautiful to see when it happens. You know what I mean? And there is something to learn from all these videos. Very important. I think it's so important for everyone to know how to defend themselves. You know, in the hope that you don't ever have to. But if you ever have to, you can. You know what I mean? So I believe everyone should be training martial arts to some degree. Do you know what I mean? And even having an awareness of, like, you know, this is a confrontational situation. I should do something here. I should be in a stance, or I should get a bit of distance, or, you know, I should be a bit more switched on, or, you know what I mean? Very important, I think, to know that. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely.
Especially given what some stuff's been happening over the last few months in Dublin.
We're seeing it more and more. It's baffling. You know what I mean? It's fucked up. It's scary.
It's literally scary.
I'm from town, you know what I mean? My ma lives there. She walks into town, she's been around it, and where we live in town is like full of madness, and I see her all the time, and it's one of my worst nightmares, something happening to a family member, or my ma getting caught in one of these, you know, and she's seen it, she's been caught, not herself, but being in the middle of craziness happening right in front of her, like, you know, and it can be easily torn on you, like.
That's it, yeah.
And you're just stuck in that situation.
Just wrong place, wrong time.
Wrong place, wrong time, like. And I think as a man, myself, like, it's your duty to be able to do something, do you know what I mean? And step in and help out, or if you have to defend your family or your kids or your girlfriend or your ma or whatever, like, it's very important to know what to do in these situations. Not be a tough man and walk around starting fights.
Yeah, exactly.
But definitely, if need be, you can fucking definitely stop a fight, or, you know what I mean, or defend yourself and your loved ones. It's very important to me. To me, anyway, I don't know if everyone can think like that, but for me, nobody's fucking with me and my family. That's for sure. That's just the way I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, I agree with you, man. I agree. When I was listening to some interviews of you leading into this, I think it was one you'd run out while you were in Thailand, and the interviewer asked you the question, you know, McGregor, Chandler, what way do you see that fight going? You gave a prediction. You were, the reason I bring it up is because when you made the prediction, I could hear in your voice the confidence and the belief is like, there is no doubt in your mind Michael Chandler's getting knocked out by Conor McGregor. It's like, that's the way this is going. And when I was listening to you talk about your preparation going into this fight, I felt the same sort of level of belief and confidence that comes through. And it's like, it's so good to hear that from someone when it's like, I'm not just saying this just because it's the right thing to say going into a fight. It's like, yeah, I'm going to knock him out. And like, you can feel like there's no real belief or conviction behind it, versus the way you answer those questions. You'd be like, when I'm on the game, like what you seen in September, that wasn't Kiefer Crosbie. That was a half-assed version who wasn't sure if this was for him or not. What you're going to get now at the end of July, judge me on that. Wait till that and then make your decision.
100%. Well, I think it's better to believe in yourself and fail than not believe in yourself and not even try. Do you know what I'm saying? And we think that's a very important mindset to have going into any sort of competition or any sort, especially fighting. I mean, if I could easily go in this and not believe in myself and then try, how am I going to feel in there though? I'm not even believing myself. So if I'm telling myself, fucking right, I believe in myself, why do you believe in yourself? Because of the work I'm after putting in, the shape I'm in, the weight I'm after making, the discipline I'm after have. I'm ticking every box here, you know what I mean? So why wouldn't I believe in myself? Do you know what I'm saying? And not only am I going to believe in myself, I'm going to tell people I believe in. So they're even like, oh fuck, you know, they're shocked by how much belief you have. And I think Conor's the perfect example of someone who actually spoke belief to the world and told everyone what he's going to do. And a lot of people were like, this fella. And then he goes out and he does it. And he keeps doing it. And when I said that about him beating Chandler, there's not a doubt in my mind he's going to beat Chandler. Like, it's, people don't give Conor enough credit, I don't think. As big of a star as he is and all, I don't think people give him enough credit of how much of a great fighter he is. And it goes back to what I said earlier. When you lose a fight, people just say, oh shit.
Yes.
When you win a fight, people say, I agree. People just forgot about all the amazing fights he's won. Forget about all the people he's KO'd easily. The Jose Aldo fights, the Eddie Alvarez fights, the surround, like, you're just gonna just forget about that because what he lost, 1 or 2 fights. It's crazy to me. It makes no sense, you know. And well, it kind of does make sense because it comes from an ignorant, uneducated point of view, and these fans, you know what I mean, in their droves of just like, oh, you're shit. And I felt that after my last loss, it was like, yo man, he can't even grapple, and I'm just like, fucking hell, do you know what I mean? It's like, this is the fight game, do you know what I mean? This is what happens, you know what I mean? But I just think with the Conor Chandler thing, stylistically, like, and how good Conor is and how hard he hits and how perfect his timing is and how, you know, great his fight IQ is, I just can't see Chandler giving him that many problems. I think Chandler's a great athlete and he's a warlord and all this shit, but I'm telling you, man, Conor stands in front of you, lines you up, and he's like a sniper down that rifle. He's going to move his head off that centre line, ping you, and you're going to wake up, and that's genuinely what I see happening. I said, I think it was like the Jose Aldo fight. I think it's going to be more so like the Eddie Alvarez fight. I think Conor's just going to walk him around and just play with him and outclass him, and people are going to be like, oh fuck, he's back. You know what I mean?
He's back,
That's genuine. I think, you know, Conor's on a different level to him. Simple as that. Everywhere, not just with striking, everywhere. Do you know, he doesn't get enough credit, I don't think, for being how good of a fighter he is. Like, do you know what I mean? Because he is the GOAT, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's changed the fucking game. Let's be real here for a sec. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm excited to see him back in there. Yeah, can't wait.
You're in good company, man. I can't wait to see him back in there.
So we all, do you know what I mean? Any fight fan is, come on. If you're a fight fan, you're dying to see it happen. You know what I mean? I can't wait.
Yeah, the whole Ultimate Fight, I think, was just a tease. That's nearly a year ago. Like, come on.
It was like the food porn during a fight.
But I wanted to ask you, because you were saying about, like, confidence comes from your preparation. And obviously, until you're like in the octagon with an opponent, you can have all these ideas. This is what it will feel like. This is how strong he's going to be. This is how it's going to go. Being in the UFC, obviously, biggest fight promotion in the world, best fighters in the world, technically. When you were in the octagon, even though you were on 2 days or 2 weeks' notice, it wasn't the best version of yourself. Did you feel out of your depth, or did you feel like, I could beat this
right
man?
at home. Felt this is exactly where I should be. Didn't feel out of my depth at all. Felt like every single thing. Like, I've never felt better in a dressing room. I've never felt better on fight day. I've never felt better walking to the cage, stepping in there. I was very aware of everything. I was very conscious of everything. Bruce Buffer was standing right there. I was very like in my own head, like I could see everything. I could feel everything. I could hear everything. I was looking at my opponent. I was very much in a zone of like, I was conscious of what was going on. You know what I mean? Sometimes in a fight, you're in a trance of like, you're not even looking around. You're just in a zone of like, I don't even want to engage with the crowd or any. I just want to just, you know, keep my head down and get through this fight. Like, it was the opposite of this one. This one, I was looking around proud of myself, like, I'm in the fucking octagon here. I was looking down at the canvas. I seen UFC. I was just like, I'm here. Looking at my gloves, I was very like, yes, this is it. Like, and there was not a doubt in my mind I was gonna lose. I was looking at this guy, I'm gonna fucking knock you out. Like, there wasn't one bit of me thinking I'm losing this fight. That's why it was so hard when I did lose. I was looking at him like, you're done. I'm gonna knock you clean out. I'm telling you, I'm gonna. And I went at him with confidence. Like, I watched the fight. I watched it so many times. It's like every striking exchange I won, I was pinging him, and he was tough and he took them well. And I checked one of his kicks, and I had like a very, very, very bad shin. It wasn't even a calf kick. He was throwing calf kicks, and I checked it. And as soon as I checked it, boom, my shin just went numb. And I thought, fuck, I'm at the breaking my leg. And again, I could feel it. I was very, very conscious of like me feeling. I could feel things. And normally in a fight, you don't feel anything.
The adrenaline.
Until you get back to the dressing room. And then it all hits you. As soon as I checked it, it was like immediate pain and like an electric shock in my shin. And I was like, oh, fuck, my shin's broke. And then I was bouncing, and every bounce I was taking was like a throb, you know. And I was like, all I kept thinking was my leg's gonna snap in half here, you know. So I was trying to play it off and switch stances and act like it wasn't affecting me. But all I was thinking was like, fuck, my shin is done here. Now it turned out it was like not a what did they call it? A stress fracture.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a fracture. It was just about to be fractured. Do you know what I mean? A stress fracture. You have to rest. There's nothing you can do. You can't cast it up around. So it was very sore for months. Man, it was killing me for months. But again, it was one of those things, you know. Yeah, again, as I said earlier, it's better to believe and fail than not to believe in yourself at all. Do you know, and not even try. Yeah. So again, preparation ups your belief. So right now, I'm in a great place training. I've been training hard for months. I'm only back from Thailand after a month, and I still have 7 weeks of sharpening the blade. So I get to fully redeem myself now in 7 weeks, you know what I mean?
Man, I can't wait to see you back in there.
Yeah, me too.
Is there any, it's not even like really a fear, I'd love to say like, is there anything you learned about yourself or your fighting style in that fight that you can take into your next fight? But it's not even really a fair representation of you, because it wasn't the best version of yourself in there. But looking back on that whole experience, is there anything you can take from it that you're going to bring into the next fight?
Just that preparation is everything. Yeah. It really is. And again, going back to talking to Volk, we both said this, and he was like, preparation is everything. You know, but at the same time, it is a roll of the dice, because he talked about losing against Islam that time on the 12 days notice, and then his next fight, he done a 14-week camp.
Yeah.
And he went to Bangtao, and he was flat out, brought Craig Jones and done all this for 14 weeks, and then he lost. And he was like, it was so interesting because like I had the perfect camp. I never trained as hard. I never got in better shape. I done the hardest rounds of my life, and he lost. Yeah. And it was like, wow, I really didn't think I was going to lose this one. And it is a roll of the dice, because like you could be in the best shape of your life and still lose. And that's how hard this sport is. People just don't get it. Like, they just don't get it unless you made the walk. So like, I know like the next fight, of course, it's a roll of the dice. The good news is it's also a roll of the dice for him. So, you know, you got to fucking roll it. That's the thing. It's like, I genuinely believe I'm going to win. I'm sure he does too. So let's just fucking roll the dice and see what happens. And I think I'm a better fighter. I feel like I'm a better fighter, and I've seen his fights and I've seen him getting knocked out. I've never been knocked out. He's been knocked out, and I'm a knockout artist. I like to hit people. So I mean, it's one of those things for me. I think like if I just can catch him them shots, I think I can KO him. And You know, and even with the KO, I think I'm also a better grappler than he is. I'm sure he's thinking the same. That's the beautiful thing about this sport. It's like, that's why we watch it, because you know, you get two men who genuinely believe they can win and they're working hard, and then we're going to meet in 7 weeks and we're going to see what happens. And that's why fighting is so interesting, because anything can happen. You know, and I'm aware of that. I know I'm not stupid. You know, anything can happen. But I genuinely still believe in myself so much that I'm going to win, no matter what. Because that's who I am. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
As I said, it's better to believe and fail than never to believe at all. So, and I fucking full on believe myself that I'm going to win. So, we'll see what happens.
I love it, man. I
respect that. Curious for you, Kiefer. I know you don't want to look too far ahead into the future, down the distance. If you just look at the rest of 2024, in the ideal scenario, what way you see it going? You get to July, knock them out, first round finish, take no damage. What do you see like the rest of 2024 ideally playing out like?
Again, it's a hard question to answer, because as I said earlier, I never like to overlook the next fight or the, you know, what's after that. But again, I just want to take a fight by fight and win, get me hand rest. And as I said, when you win a fight, the future takes care of itself. You know, it really does. And I would like to stay busy this year, though. I want to stay as busy as I can. As soon as the UFC can throw me back in there, I hope they do. My main goal really is to get the UFC back to Dublin. And I believe I'm the person to do that. You know, that's it. Like, I'm gonna bring it back to Dublin as soon as I win this fight. The first thing out of my mouth is the UFC has to come back to Dublin. I will do a fight night in the Tree Arena. Let's go. Do you know what I mean? That's my real goal and my vision and my dream here. It's like, I fought in the Tree Arena 8 times. I want to bring the UFC back to Dublin. No better time. There's a good few Irish in the UFC now. Let's go. Do you know what I mean? It's been 10 years since they've been here. I'm here now. I'm from Dublin. I have the whole story. Is all here before. I've said it 100 times. Let's fucking go. Do you know what I mean? That's my real goal here, is to get the UFC back into the Tree Arena and do a fight night and fight whoever. And that'd be something special for me. Really, it'd be a historical thing to tick off the list. You know what I'm saying? So, as I said, obviously I'm focusing on this person. But in my head, it's I'm getting that UFC back here. I want to be the man to take credit for that. And that's the goal.
Beautiful. Nice. I have 2 more questions and then we'll stop grilling you. First question, and I know you don't like thinking too far ahead. But we're going to ask you to think too far ahead. I'm going to make you think too far ahead anyway. Sorry, Keeper. But when the time comes where you walk away from the sport and you're old and you're looking back on all you've achieved, how would you like to look back and say, I'm glad I done this, or I think I was respected for this? And how would you like other people to look back at what you done?
Again, it's like, I don't care what other people think ever. I just want me family to be looked after. I want them to be happy. I want them to be healthy, and I just want to do what I love to do. That's it. I don't believe in anything else. I mean, I think people spend too much time doing shit that they don't even really want to do, but they're doing it anyway because it's the thing to do. You know, and you know, I'm a bit older now. I'm 34, and it's like, I'm not a fucking young lad that's like, you know, has all these desires and all these things. I know what I want. You know, I want my family to be okay. I want to spend time with them, and I want to do martial arts. And after that, it's just a bonus to me, do you know? And I'm not only want to do martial arts, I'm a very all-in person. Do you know what I mean? If I'm either all in or I'm all out. So if I pick something that I'm going to do, I'm going to be the best in the world at it. That's just the way my brain works. If I say I'm going to do a podcast, I'm not just going to do a little podcast. I'm going to be the best podcast the Ireland's ever seen. That's just the way my brain has to work. So don't worry, the boys. I'm not going to do a podcast. Don't worry about it. I'm going to take over this whole podcast.
There's room for one more on the sofa here.
No, but like, you know what I mean? So for me, getting even to the UFC, I've spoken to existence. I said, I'm going to get there. I'm doing it. And so many people are against it. Never once did I think in my head, I'm not going to get there. I will get there, do you know what I mean? It's going to take some time. Took a long time. Still got here. So I'm just going to ride this till the fucking wheels fall off. And then, you know, whatever I'm going to do after, I know it's going to be a success. I have other big business deals coming into place soon. Can't talk about them too much, but it's basically, the name of the company is Dr. Green. If you go onto any social media platform and follow Dr. Green, it's going to be basically the biggest cannabis distributor in the whole world. And I'm very proud to be working with good friends of mine, and it's going to be the biggest cannabis distributor on the whole planet. Watch my Instagram for the next few weeks. I'm going to be leaking some teaser trailers and stuff like this, but it's something I'm very, very, very excited to work on and work with these people. They're great people. And Dr. Green, all platforms. Go follow, and in the next few weeks you'll be seeing some big news.
Oh man, we're just back from Amsterdam. We could have done some promo for you.
Oh, yeah, I know. Listen, I used to be involved, and it's a beautiful thing because everybody can get involved. As I said, I can't speak on too much, but in the next few weeks I'm going to be drip feeding some teaser trailers and stuff like this, and it will be launched in July. So I'm really looking forward to launching that with my friends and my business partners, and it's going to be big news coming soon.
Congrats, man. I look forward to that.
Unreal. One last question from me. It's a bit of a deep one. Well, it can be deep. Depends on way you want to take it. I asked the same question to Will White, and his answer was "Don't be a cunt." So
my answer is probably going to be the same. Yeah. It's one of my favourite things to say to people. But yeah, don't be a cunt.
But the question was, if you had a piece of paper, and on that piece of paper you had to write one piece of advice that you could leave for your children to read when you're gone, what would that piece of advice be?
Don't be a cunt. That's funny. Yeah. I mean, one piece of advice. Yeah. I mean, learn how to be content with what you have as opposed to always searching to be happy. Do you know what I mean? I think happiness is measured different in everyone's head, yeah? Some people be happy with a Rolex, or some people will be happy with the newest this and the newest that and the fucking, you know. And you're never going to be actually happy then. Do you know what I mean? You're always chasing the next thing. And you think, well, if I get that, I'll be happy. As opposed to learning how to just be content who you are and what you have.
Yeah.
And the older I get, and obviously I have 3 kids, and I've achieved so much in martial arts, and I've done this, that. I'm a goal getter. Yeah, I always set goals. I want this, and I want that, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna and I'm always chasing. And sometimes you have to just sit down. I look at my kids, like my perfect day, or I could die happy, is sitting in my sitting room, watching a Disney film with me 3 kids and my girlfriend, having a cup of coffee, and that's it. There's nothing more I need or want. Me getting to train every day is brilliant, and me getting to fight in the UFC is a dream come true. It really is. But fuck the Ferrari and fuck your Rolex and anything that you think is going to make you happy. None of that shit's real. It's going to be deadly. It's brilliant. You'll have a buzz, definitely. It'll make you happy for a minute.
Yeah.
You're never going to be content with all that shit, you know what I mean? So for me, if I was to tell the man, it's just to be content. Learn how to be content. Be grateful for what you have. My nanny raised me alongside me ma, the 2 women, and one thing my nanny used to say to me, and I always disagreed with her until I got a bit older, was if you have a roof over your head, clothes on your back, and food in the fridge, you're rich. And I remember thinking, that's the stupidest thing anyone's ever said to me. And then she died, and my ma used to always say that to me, and I used to shake my head saying, it's fucking stupid advice. I want to be rich. I want to actually be rich. You know. But again, you get a bit older, you get some money, you achieve some shit, you sit there with your kids and you have a roof over your head and they have clothes on their back. I'm drinking me cup of coffee and there's food in that fridge. That's it. I don't fucking eat anything else, really. I just want to keep that going, do you know what I mean? And make sure they're okay and they're happy and healthy and they get to live their best life. And again, me getting to go to the gym every day and be healthy and compete and have people like fans. I never thought I'd have a bleeding fan. I never thought anyone would give a fuck, you know what I mean? But a lot of people seem to give a fuck these days, you know what I mean? And it's beautiful, it's great, but really at the end of it all, it means nothing. You know, it's going to pass by and we're all going to have our day. Do you know what I mean? And I'm sure you are just doing this because you enjoy doing it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure if someone came and offered you $1 million to never do this again, but like, just do this though, and it's something you hated doing. But here's $1 million. Part you might go, we could really use that money though. Do you know what I mean? But really, you'd blow through that $1 million quick, and then you think, I missed doing that podcast. I really liked it. I really was happy and content doing that. I enjoyed them questions. I enjoyed this. So I think just finding being content and being grateful for what you have. And like me and Annie said, if there's clothes in your back, food in the fridge and a roof over your head, you're rich, you know what I mean? And that is true, like it really is. When you get a bit older, you know, it stands true to me anyway. I'm just grateful for everything I have, you know what I mean? And a few quid now and now. We'll go straight.
Dana, if you're watching that.
Also, like Will always said, don't be a cunt. That's pretty good advice. Don't be a cunt. That's all a bit of advice. Good man, shout out to Will White.
What a legend.
What a legend.
Man. Kiefer, man, thank you so much for coming in, man. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you get back in the octagon and do your thing.
Thanks, boys.